and come up with your own opinion. But anything that has people divided like that,
it's intriguing just to at least watch it. Yeah.
And, as long as you don't mind subtitles.
Yeah, everybody thought 1917, I still have yet to see Joker, although we're going to try to watch it this week. I'm glad Joaquin Phoenix won. Now, I don't have a God's honest clue of what the hell he talked about in his speech. It seemed really sincere and stuff, and he overcame a lot of stuff in his life. But when he started talking about the mother's cow's milk being taken by the farmers and used for drinking, I don't know where he was going at all. I understand maybe he's vegan and shit, but I don't know. He just had a whole rant that made zero sense. I love the guy as an actor.
The thing about Hollywood is there's a lot of drugs in it.
Yeah.
You never quite know what you're going to hear. And
I thought he's clean now. I thought the point is he's clean.
It's a party.
Yeah.
Everybody falls off the wagon for the Oscars.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know where the speech was going, man. I love the dude as an actor, man. One of the best.
So where are we going with these free agents?
Free agency. All right. So out of that list, who do you see? All right. Like I said, throw
What's
some
the
names.
List?
All right.
What's the list for the people?
The
so
top
they know.
5 defensive ends. I have defensive ends / edge rushers who are available. I've got Eric Armstead as a guy that's probably headed elsewhere, in my opinion. I got Jadeveon Clowney 50-50. I think Chris Jones has to stay with Kansas City. I think Shaq Barrett having a 19-sack season will definitely get him paid with Tampa. Todd Bowles is not going to lose that guy in his defense that needs pieces. But, to me, Eric Armstead's an intriguing guy. He's 6'7". He could play any position really on the line. Play inside or outside.
Yeah, he's a guy that's going to take this team's success and parlay that into probably a $12 to $15 million contract.
And he's not going to. There's no way they could keep him there. They don't have a ton of cap space. And remember, you got Bosa, you got D Ford, you got DeForest Buckner.
These guys.
Yeah, they have
just reinvest in the draft.
They still have. Even if he leaves, they're the most talented defensive line in football, probably. Let's be real. But
just with Bosa, you could have Bosa and whoever else on the fucking line. He's like going to be this generation's J.J. Watt, or the closest thing to it.
Clowney to me, where do you see, like Clowney to me is all over the place. You talk about, there's teams like the Giants that could overpay Clowney. You talk about Miami, maybe. They got a ton of cap space. John Gruden's always had a hard-on for guys, with talent who haven't hit their peak yet, who could be a player for Clowney? If Seattle says, to hell with you, I'm not going to pay you $12 to $14 million a year for 3 sacks. We want more than that. We're going to go draft somebody or pick up a low-budget pass rusher. Because there's going to be some cut candidates. Everson Griffin, to me, is one. There's going to be some other guys available, But that's the thing. To me, I also covered wide receivers. We did wide receivers as well. That, to me, is a spot that intrigues Saints fans. We're not looking for an edge rusher, unless, to me, it's a cut candidate, and that's about it. We're not going to invest high in an edge rusher at this point.
Honestly, in this time leading up to NFL free agency, this is going to be an interesting time, because now you're going to see people that you had no idea were going to become free agents.
Surprise cuts, yeah.
We could talk about all the people that might get cut, but there's going to be some that
absolutely. Surprising,
wow,
yeah.
This guy got cut. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I had a dude arguing me about Patrick Peterson. There's no way in the world they could cut a near 30-year-old cornerback. He's like, they're not rebuilding. I'm like, if you have a fucking first pick in the draft and a rookie head coach last year, and you got holes all over the roster, and you just finished in last place, you're rebuilding.
I don't know.
That's my opinion.
Honestly, I think if they
I'm not saying they will.
They would get something before they just.
I think they'll try to trade him. Absolutely. But I think if worse came to worse,
he's the position he plays. Somebody will give at least a third round.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they would go that route.
Pick, honestly, if they put him on the market right now.
And that's why I really got him as if he went out that group.
Contract.
He's more or less the spank wire for that one. You know what I'm saying? I kind of got him in there, put the article, he's the big face on there. He's probably not going to get cut, but I wouldn't put it out the realm of possibilities. Here's my thing. I'm going to go to the edge rushers here. Well, we talked about the edge rushers just about. I think we left one guy out on there with the edge rushers. But let me ask you this. If you had the cap space, would you invest in Clowney or Armstead? If you had to choose between one or the other. I find it's an interesting dilemma right there.
I would probably go Armstead, because I think he's a little bit more steady.
Mm-hmm.
And
length is good too at 6'7", getting the passing lanes.
Yeah. Everybody wants to get more length on their team.
Yeah, length is a good thing, man. Let's see who else the guy I'm forgetting about here. I'm totally messing up on somebody here. We got Shaq Barrett. We talked about him. We think he's going to stay. Oh, Yannick from Jacksonville.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to try his last name. I always forget it.
He's definitely going to be walking.
Well, yeah, you know what's funny about him? He's got, I think, 36 sacks roughly, or 37 sacks, whatever it is, in 4 years. I know he's averaging 9 sacks a year. He's not a very good run defender, but he's quick. He's a guy that could get after the quarterback. Now, they're not going to re-sign him because they have Josh Allen. They got Calais Campbell. They've got, Taven Bryan. There's pieces on that line that are really good. They're kind of in a similar situation as the 49ers. They need to fill other areas. They don't have to worry about defensive line at all. They can let him walk.
I mean, we're talking about a team that has 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, they're fucked.
And, I mean, eventually, considering the fact that Gardner Minshew was a late-round pick, I'm under the impression that he doesn't have a long contract, and they're going to have to pay him some money. And they're already tied into Nick Foles.
Their cap situation is not great. They had no choice to do what they did with Ramsey. Now, I give them kudos for recovering those picks with Ramsey. They had to get off of Ramsey. But you know what the word is also? They're likely to cut A.J. Bouye.
Jaguars at the moment have negative $3.5 million in
Well, there's going to be some cuts. That's a team to look at for surprising cuts. Now, A.J. Bouye was not graded very well last year. I'll tell you this, though. As a Saints fan, he's somewhat intriguing to me on a prove-it deal. Some people talk about Ronald Darby. Ronald Darby scares the shit out of me. He was a great corner, but his injuries have been, you can't help but notice what's happened to him because of the injuries. He's not the same corner. But a guy like A.J. Bouye, who performed well for 2 different organizations, he has flexibility in his game. He had a bad year, but that team had a bad year. A bad last couple years after that AFC title appearance. A.J. Bouye could be a name that gets cut. You talk about Jacksonville and cap hell. That's a name I think that's going to be out there.
And is A.J. Bouye a guy that the Saints can...
I think prove-it deal, yeah. 1 year, 2 year prove-it deal. Bring him in. That's the kind of guy that you have to have guys like that sometimes on championship teams.
People here getting kind of antsy. They want to see...
Darren Sharper was on a prove-it deal.
How are the Saints going to tie into this free agency?
Let me ask you, Darren Sharper.
Going through all of these other
No. That's what we're about to get to.
We want to know what's going on with the Saints.
Well, Darren Sharper.
Who that?
Wasn't Darren Sharper the biggest prove-it deal that turned out ever? 9 interceptions, 3 defensive touchdowns? I mean, he had one of the best years any defensive players had in our team history. He was a prove-it deal. He was picked up off the scrap heap late in his career. A former Pro Bowl caliber player that would hit, the downside of his career. Saints took a flyer on him, and it worked out, wonderfully.
Okay, so do you think with Sheldon Rankins being, he's, or is he ever going to be the same? With him, being the situation where he is, do you think they look at one of these defensive tackles
the guy,
and bite the bullet and give him a good contract?
I don't think they're going to spend much money up front because I think you still got, remember, you got Cam, who's one of the best ends in football. Davenport was balling. People don't want to. I don't think the Saints are looking at any of those guys. Yeah, they're going to cost you. Yeah, those are all these 5 guys I just mentioned. The Saints aren't looking at any of them. The Saints, to me, would be looking at Everson Griffin. He's 32 years old. Mm-hmm. The Vikings have a ton of free agents. They have a ton of cap problems. They got to get better in certain areas. That's a team.
Maybe wants to win.
He could, and I mean, we saw what he could do on the defensive line. He's one of the big reasons we lost in the playoffs.
But do you think he could be a guy that just walks away? Because I know he had some personal issues a few years back.
He did. I mean,
he may have had some brain injuries.
I'd bring him in, see what he's got. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to get him on a 1 or 2 year deal, pretty low cost. I mean, because here, remember, you got Marcus Davenport. Everybody likes to forget about this guy, but he was playing at like a Pro Bowl level when he got hurt. Mm-hmm. Trey Hendrickson's a solid third end, but if you could get Everson Griffin over Trey Hendrickson, no offense to Trey Hendrickson, but you take Everson Griffin as a rotational end.
We also seen, the weakening of that line when Davenport went out.
Yeah,
Sheldon Rankins
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, out. So maybe
need one more piece. One more piece. Because you could lose David Onyemata. Let's be real.
I'll be honest. You can never have enough defensive linemen,
No.
I think that's a big reason, if you look a couple years back, why Philadelphia won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
besides,
all those guys. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't because, like we said, Foles kind of fell into a situation. And they
were great on both sides of the line.
Yeah.
They were tremendous. But no, I mean, to me, in the middle of the line, I think they're very sound. I think even if Rankins comes back a shell of his old self, if you retain Onyemata to go with Malcolm Brown, who had a tremendous year stuffing blocks, clogging the lanes against the run, I like Stallworth a lot too. I like our guy Shai Tuttle, who was, made one of the best plays of the year with a stiff arm on Matt Ryan after the turnover. But, there's some guys. The Saints have a lot of depth on the line. I think they just got to get healthy. Hopefully Rankins is close to the player he once was after all these injuries, and Davenport picks up where he left off.
And what about if the Saints lose a couple cornerbacks like we've been talking about with Apple and Janoris
that's going to be
another possible cut candidate?
I'll tell you, if Jenkins doesn't restructure, you have to cut him. You can't pay him his cap figure. There's no way. If you want to improve this team at all in the offseason and retain guys like Onyemata or A.J. Klein, if you want to try to keep guys like that, there's no way you could keep Janoris Jenkins at his current number.
Right now, if you can make it happen, if you can cut Jenkins and bring in Patrick Peterson, You give up that 3rd-round pick?
Oh, man, that's hard, dude. I love picks. If Peterson, man, I don't. It's so hard. That's a tough one, man. It really is. I want to draft a corner in the 1st round. I really do. I want to draft a corner. I'd love for Jenkins to take that pay cut and come back. I'd love to draft a corner. I'd like to possibly see them move on from Patrick Robinson. PJ to me is 50-50. I know people hate PJ, but actually he's to me the better of the two out of him and Robinson. I wouldn't even mind taking a flyer on Bouye if he has a good workout, but I want to draft a corner. I want to draft a guy. I want to extend Marshawn Lattimore long term. I want to find the next, guy across from Lattimore in this draft. I want to, Jenkins could play one more year, and that's fine. Chauncey's an intriguing piece, but I think he's more of a slot corner or the strong safety of the future if
he's
Von Bell leaves.
That can be interspersed in the middle of the field. What he can be, this is like, the best, his best life. If he could live his best life, he can be the Saints.
Oh, he's an amazing
honey
player.
badger.
Absolutely. He's got that kind of game. He's got that kind of game to him. We did the other article on the receiving core.
But let me ask you this.
What you got?
We said A.J. Bouye maybe a guy that
I think he gets cut.
Any other linebackers, that can be brought in.
Linebackers really weak in free agency this year, man. I looked at the linebackers a little bit.
It's a cut candidate.
I mean, there could be. I mean, it's weird, man, because remember, there's some teams with some big voids at linebacker, and especially now, a team like Carolina's going to be looking hard at a middle linebacker. Like, you got guys like Blake Martinez out there, Schobert from Cleveland. They said they're trying to retain him. That's the early word. Corey Littleton is a guy that's out there. But to me, I think the Saints, in my opinion, I'll be honest with you, I retained A.J. Klein. I like Klein on an inexpensive deal. I think he would stay at a normal, at a reasonable. I'd let him compete for a starting job. I'm hoping Alex Anzalone could get healthy, man. I think Anzalone has Pro Bowl potential if he could just get those shoulders on board, man. He's had problems with that. He's a phenomenal talent. DeMario, to me, is the best middle linebacker. With Luke Kuechly gone, is the best middle linebacker in football right now. DeMario Davis. I know he could play inside or outside, but to me, I look at him as a middle linebacker because he's a quarterback of the defense technically. And look, DeMario's money. To me, I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Craig Robertson gets cut at some point. He's making a pretty decent salary for a guy that's basically a backup and a special teamer. He didn't play particularly well late in the season or in the playoffs, in my opinion. AJ, to me, I think is a keeper. I think you keep AJ Klein. I think he wants to stay here. At this point in his career, starting over elsewhere, they had him ranked. A lot of free agent sites had him ranked between like 19 and 25, which to me was a little bit of a slap in the face as far as free agent linebackers in the middle, or not edge rushing linebackers. I guess that's how they classified it. Like 4-3 linebackers for the most part. And to me, man, I thought it was a little bit of a slap in the face. I think he's a better player than that. But I don't know, man. I don't think the Saints get too crazy. Linebacker to me would be a draft position. And then you got Caden Ellis, too, who got hurt early on last season.
Let me show you how you transition.
What you got?
Moving on to the offensive side.
Moving on to it. Good afternoon, folks.
Good afternoon. Hey, but the longest standing position of need.
Wide receiver. We got to fucking talk wide receiver.
I mean, did we not talk about this last offseason? And we talked ourselves into Cook and these other assholes who never fucking did anything.
Well, Cook is money at tight end, but you still need a guy that actually has a WR next to their name.
You need a wide receiver. Cook's going to help the middle of the field. You need somebody that's going to help when,
Michael Thomas is doubled,
is proven
or
not
tripled.
To be an alien from another planet.
Yeah, he can only do so much.
Yeah.
Look, put it this way. Here's on my 5. I'm gonna say this. We got 5. I'm gonna go into this for one reason only.
Can you talk yourself into Paul Richardson?
No, I don't think I can. I'm going to leave it at that. I can talk myself into 2 guys on this list, but I don't think they can be expensive. Actually, I'm going to say this. I can talk myself into 3 guys in this list. I'm going to get the first 2 out the way. And all fans out there who are going to say, go get these guys, these 2 are...
These are guys not cut candidates.
No, these are 5, to me, the top 5 free agents at wide receiver.
All right, who...
The first 2 we have no chance of getting, so I don't want to see posts about this.
Go from the bottom up.
I'm kind of like...
Go from the bottom up.
Well, no, I want to go backwards, and the reason why, because the bottom 3 guys are guys I think the Saints could actually be interested in, and it could happen. The top 2 guys, let's just get them out the way. Like Joel Smith said, let's get it out the way on the Saints forum.
They're not going to be able to afford...
A.J. Green...
Anderson's going to just get something stupid.
Well, A.J. Green and Amari Cooper are off the board. Let's be real. And I don't think either one of them returns to their old team. I think A.J. Green, I could see him in New England. I could see him with Vegas now, with the Raiders. I think the Cowboys are going to move on from Cooper. I got a weird feeling on this shit, man. I think some things are going to change in Dallas. They're going to have some